Okay, so this lesson is on 2.4, which is measurements in units, right? Measurements and units. A couple of things I want to touch base on before we get into this is there are two types of measurements we do. We do an accurate measurement, which means it is basically exact, right? It's measured exactly to the point. And then there's precise. And precise is it's close to the actual, measurement. So with this, we know we measure units many different ways, okay? But in terms of anything with decimals and partial parts, we use what we call tenths. So 1/10, which is equal to tenths, means you're rounding to one decimal place. Okay? But then you have 1/100th, right? So you have 100th, which means you're going to do 2 decimal places. And then if we go 1/1000th, right? We know that is 3 decimal places. Okay, so with all of this, right, we measure to each of these. So if I said, Johnny weighs 33 3/10 of a pound, right? That means 33 3/10 would be 33.3 pounds. Okay, so when we say a tenth of a pound, we mean one decimal value. Now, even more important with these units is all the different units we measure in and converting from one unit to another. Okay, so here we have liquid measure, which is cups, pints, quarts, gallons, cups, right? Then you have linear measure, which you should be familiar with, feet, yards, mile, inches. Then you have metric units, which when you're over at in Europe, you see these a lot, centimeters, meters, kilometers. And then you have weight, which is pounds, kilograms, ounces, and so on. So we have all of these different units of measurement. So how do we convert from one to another? Meaning, how many yards are in 48 feet, right? Well, generally when we go from smaller to bigger units, we tend to divide. So what is the conversion here? Yards to feet. Well, we know 1 yard from the table up above is equal to 3 feet. So basically one way we can do this is 48 feet divided by 3 feet would give me 16 yards. Now, you could probably do a lot of this in your head, which is fine, but here's another way we have to look at it. We write the conversion, or what we know. We know we have 48 feet. And what we want to do is write a fraction so that the feet cancel each other out, which means one's in a numerator, one's in a denominator. And we take the conversion, such as 1 yard equals 3 feet. I want the number of feet to be in the denominator so they cancel out. So 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. Now I get feet canceled out. And if I multiply across, 48 times 1 is 48 yards divided by 3 gives me 16 yards. Okay? And that's why we end up dividing. Now, the next one, when you go from bigger units, meaning a quart is bigger than a cup. So when we go from bigger units to smaller units, we generally multiply. So if I go up to the conversion chart here, right, 1 cup, and I'm looking how many, 6 quarts is equal to how many cups? Well, if I look here, so we know 1 quart, so if I look here, 1 quart is equal to 4 cups. 1 quart equals 4 cups. So if I go to do this real easily, that would mean 6 quarts is equal to, right, 4 cups in each quart times 6 quarts would give me 24 cups. Okay, that's one way to do it. Or another way to do it is if I line this up and I say 6 quarts is equal to, or sorry, times. Now I want to cancel quarts out. So the conversion is 1 quart. I need to put quarts on bottom so these cancel out, is equivalent to 4 cups. And this is over 1. So now 6 times 4 is 24 over 1, which would give me 24 cups. Okay? So in this case, now when we have to go from one to another, right, we have all these different conversions, it gets a little tricky. Meaning, we want to go from 3 meters to centimeters, right? So if I look up here, it says 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So if I look at it, 3 meters, right, is equal to how many centimeters are in each meter? There's 100. So 3 times 100 would give me, there are 300 centimeters in 3 meters. But now if I convert days, so now when we go to convert 2 days into seconds, there's no direct way to go from days to seconds. So what we do is we create like a lineup, right? And we say, okay, what can I convert days into very easily? So right away I know I can go from, days to hours. Then I know I can go hours to minutes. And then I can go minutes to seconds. And that's exactly how I'm going to approach this. So I'm going to say 2 days over 1 times, now remember, I want to cancel out days. So when I look at the conversion, I know 1 day is equivalent to 24 hours. So now days cancel out, but I still have hours. So now I'm going to go and cancel out hours. So I know 1 hour is equivalent to how many minutes? 60 minutes. Now hours cancel out. Times, now I want to go cancel out minutes. What do I know minutes? I know 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So right away, if I look, the minutes will cancel out. If I multiply everything across the top, right, then I multiply everything across the bottom, that would give me what I have to simplify. So basically 2 times 24 times, 60 times 60 would give me 172,800 seconds over 1, which means there are 172,800 seconds in 2 days. Okay? So let's take a look at some quick examples here, right? So 300 seconds is equal to how many minutes? Well, 300 seconds over 1 times. Now, if I want to cancel this out, can I go straight from seconds and minutes? Well, I know 60 seconds, those cancel out, is equivalent to 1 minute. So now, if I look, I have it down to minutes. So when I multiply across the top, 300 minutes divided by 60 would give me 5 minutes. Okay? Now, you could also know that if there's 60 seconds in a minute, 300 divided by 5 is going to give you 5 minutes, or 300 divided by 60. So the next one, 72 inches in feet. Well, 72 inches over 1 times. If I want to look at this, how many inches are in a foot? If you don't know, you can look at the table above, right? But you know 12 inches are in 1 foot. Inches cancel out here. So now when I multiply across the top, it would give me 72 feet over 12, which would give me 6 feet. Okay, the next one, 42 feet and yards. Well, I know 42 feet over 1 times, if I think about it, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So when I multiply across the top, the feet cancel out and I would get 42 yards over 3. Alright, and that would give me, what is that, 14 yards. Okay, 1 kilometer in millimeters. So 1 kilometer over 1 times. If I go to the chart up above, 1 kilometer, can I go straight from that to, if I look here, millimeters? 1 kilometer, meters, no, centimeters. So we got to go from, we're going to go from kilometers to meters, to centimeters, then to millimeters. So 1 kilometer, right, ends up being so 1 kilometer, we know, is equivalent to 1,000 meters. Kilometers cancel out. Times, now, we know 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. Meters cancel out. And now, in this case, I know 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. So right now, if I go to simplify this, I would do multiply the numerators. So 1,000 times 100 times 10. So 1,000 times 100 times 10, right, would give you 1 million millimeters are in a kilometer. Okay. Now 1.5 tons in pounds, right? If I go up here, right, 1 ton is equivalent to 2,000 pounds. So in this case, 1.5 tons over 1 times, you get 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Therefore, when I multiply this, right, that would give me 3,000 pounds. Okay? Now, miles to yards. So this one's a little tricky because if you go up here, 1 mile can get you down to feet. So we have to go from miles to feet, feet to yards. So, in this case, 3 miles over 1 times 1 mile, I need the miles to cancel, is equal to 5,280 feet. Times, in this case, I know 3 feet is equal to 1 yard. And notice how I have to put feet in the denominator here. So now when I multiply the numerators, right, that's going to give me 15,000, right? It's going to 3 times 5,280. It's going to give me 15,840. That's yards over 3. So I have to divide this by 3 now, which ends up being 5,280 yards. Okay? Now, hours to seconds. If you think about this one, I have to go from hours to minutes to seconds. Okay? So 8 hours over 1 times. In this case, I know 1 hour is equivalent to 60 minutes. Times, over here, I know 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So now, when I multiply these numerators together, right, I'm going to get 8 times 60 times 60 gives you 28,000 800 seconds. Because when you divide it by 1, that's what you get. If you look here, hours cancel out, minutes cancel out, I'm left with seconds. Now, up above, we have 2 gallons and then cups. So 2 gallons, so 1 gallon, if I look here, 1 gallon is 4 quarts. So we're going to go from gallons to quarts to cups. Right? So right away we know 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. That's one conversion. And then if you look here, you know 1 quart is 4 cups. So 2 gallons, and you could probably do this in your head, over 1 times, if I look, I'm going to go from gallons to quarts. So 1 gallon to 4 quarts times, now I'm going to go from quarts to cups. 1 quart to 4 cups. Now 2 times 4 times 4 is going to give you 16 over 1. So that would be 16 cups. Okay, so do me a favor, go ahead and try the practice problems or the checkup practice problems, and then go ahead and do the quiz and send me your results.